So I want to ask first and foremost, for all of our reality check here, Keily, what breadth does OnlyFans have on it in terms of content?
So when OnlyFans was founded in 2016, it was content agnostic, essentially. So whilst it's a platform for people who are 18 plus, people can choose to share whatever content they want to with their fans. So our creators range from athletes to people who keep bees to musicians to anything and everything that you can imagine, as long as it's permitted within our terms of service, which are a lot stricter than most people actually realize, then a content creator can share and monetize that content on OnlyFans. So it's not just the adult content, but it's content for adults.
And then, Tymal, you decided to join when and why?
Yeah, so conversations kind of started about this time last year. It was I was approached, or like an email came across my my inbox, and obviously it caught my eye. And as we know, and OnlyFans were trying to broaden their client base and move into athletes and trying to diversify who's on the platform. And it came across myself, and it was one of those moments I could have played it safe and just said no thank you.
I don't feel that's in your MO.
Well, it probably was, especially with regards to social media. I probably haven't, up until that point. I played it quite safe. I did the vanilla posting after games, all the stuff, the generic stuff you see. But if you're going to advance yourself, and I'm someone that works in TV alongside being a player, and I aspire to do that and do more as I go on. And I saw it as an opportunity to attach myself with a huge company, and B, gives me the reason and the excuse to advance what I'm doing on socials, and that's not just on OnlyFans. That's Instagram, TikTok, whatever it might be. So conversations went back and forth for maybe 5-6 months over the course of last winter, and then we kind of agreed and pressed the button in the spring, and then launched in the summer.
And I want to get to that launch story a little bit in a moment. And we've got some great data that's sort of going to be shown throughout about the rapid rise that we're seeing in terms of how profitable, because ultimately a lot of people, I think, don't always realize that OnlyFans is British in terms of the way it was founded by a family in Essex. I think it was back in 2016. Mm-hmm. Then it has a Ukrainian American billionaire who's UK based, who now owns it, Keily. But I think all the press coverage I've seen of late, not just about certain of the content creators, but it was also about how profitable each and every one of the people that works for you more. You are more successful in that way than any other big tech company, Nvidia, for example.
Yes, thank you. I mean, it's nice to get recognized for that, I think, for the business and for our employees. We operate on the basis of a very lean business model, and we do it deliberately. Every hire is very important and very carefully considered. But the thing that I'm probably most proud of out of those figures, actually, it's great that the company does well, but what's more important for us is actually that we've paid out $25 billion to creators since 2016. So there's not very many tech companies that can talk about creating wealth for others, rather than just profiteering, essentially. And so for us as a company, that makes us very proud when we talk to our content creators and we understand the difference that it's made to their lives, the way that they can continue to challenge themselves or build their fan base or try something new, be a bit disruptive, be a bit, reinvent themselves in some way. And so for us as a business, providing a platform and enabling creators to have the tools to do that and to connect with their global fan base is really the thing that makes us very proud. And you're right, I always joke we're a British company with a very American personality. So everyone kind of assumes that we're American.
And are most of your users American?
The majority of our revenue comes from America. That's our single biggest user base. But there's a healthy number of British people who didn't put up their hand in the room today, who are, yes, exactly, who are subscribers or content creators on OnlyFans as well.
What's so interesting is when I'm subscribing to you, Tymal, I can see some content that you're delivering for me for free, but then there'll be some behind a paywall, $5, for example, because I'm an American user. I get it more in the dollar. I'm sure it'll be pounds, wherever you happen to be based. We can talk about some of the Latin American currencies that you're looking to be taking more of, Keily. But how has that helped you express yourself, thinking about the different type of content for the different type of pay or tip that you're currently working at? Wasn't it an attractive element that you wanted to make money through this, or was it more the experimentation you wanted to do?
Yeah, so I'm lucky in terms of, I think most of the athletes that are on OnlyFans come from sports that don't pay very well, so they're using OnlyFans to help them continue playing the sport that they play.
Yeah.
You know, you read about Olympic athletes earning, you know, basic or maybe below living wage to be an Olympic level athlete, and they're having to find other ways to, you know, pay the bills and buy food. So I'm very lucky that I play a sport that pays me, you know, well. I'm not doing OnlyFans for the money, really. Obviously, it helps. My wife is in the audience. I'm sure she'd love it if I made loads of money on OnlyFans. But I don't need the money from OnlyFans. So for me, it was more, as I mentioned earlier, an opportunity to, you know, be sponsored by it and attach myself to a billion-dollar company. That's, you know, not many athletes can say that. And also, it gave me the impetus and the reason to push what I'm doing on socials, as I mentioned earlier, because that's the way that the world is, isn't it? Everyone's on their phones, you know, content, you know, from young people through to old people, everyone's consuming content. So it gave me that kick to do more, and yeah, just experimenting with different things that I can do.
It was perhaps a little too experimental for some. Just talk us through the story, because it is a fascinating story of the ECB, and I'm not talking about the European Central Bank here, folks, but your regulatory body for cricket, but doesn't actually oversee you per se, but they were a little concerned about certain stickers on your bat.
Yeah, so the ECB weren't overly happy, so I didn't consult with them because I've played for England. I've, you know, been lucky enough to win the World Cup and stuff, but at the moment I'm not an England centrally
Can we just have a round of applause?
Oh, no.
We've got a World Cup winner here.
But at the moment I'm not centrally contracted by England, so, you know, they don't pay me. I'm not obliged to them. I'm only really contracted to Sussex. So before this came about, I spoke to Sussex, who are my employer, and cleared it with them to make sure, you know, there was nothing that was going to upset them, and they were completely supportive, which was brilliant.
And they've loved your content creation more broadly, right? And
yes.
coming
and
in behind the scenes and showing how it's done.
And it helps the club, you know, vicariously through that as well. But yeah, so just before, we obviously launched my OnlyFans just before the 100, literally 2 days before the 100, which is the ECB's, you know, baby. It's their biggest competition. I'm the leading wicket taker in the history of that tournament, so I guess a lot of eyes are on me. And yeah, on my Instagram 2 days before the start of the tournament, there's me with a, you know, an OnlyFans hoodie, OnlyFans cricket bat, and a sticker on the back of the bat. And yeah, on the day of the first game of the tournament, I had maybe 4 or 5 different calls from various different marketing communications higher ups at the ECB, all in a bit of a flap and a bit of a panic. And there was a little bit of an oversight on my behalf, because there's a bit of an unwritten rule within cricket. So you'll often see stickers on the back of players' bats, and it's, as far as I was aware, it's unregulated, because it's never really anything that flags up. But in the actual, you know, the laws of the game as such,
small print.
Yeah, there is. Every time you have a sponsor on the back of your bat, it must be approved by the, you know, the regulatory body. So I didn't know that because it's never been enforced before, but they obviously waved that in my face quite quickly, and asked me to take the sticker off, and I did. And it was, I was in a bit of an awkward position, because obviously it's in my contract to have the sticker on the bat. I was playing a game literally in 4 hours' time, so I was obviously needed to focus on that. But so anyway, I took the sticker off. I played the game. I went to bed, and then the next day I woke up to you know, the BBC, the Independent, I believe, the Daily Mail, all running articles about how the ECB had refused to let me do the, you know, have the branding on my bat. And that didn't come from me. The only people that I told were myself and my agent. So we were the only people that knew about this. But as often is the case, the PR I received from all these articles was probably much more than me just having a sticker on the back of my bat. So the ECB, maybe in an attempt to save face, probably.
What's the cricket equivalent of an own goal?
Well, dropping a catch, I guess.
There we are.
Yeah.
They dropped a catch. Keily, do you have some empathy, sympathy for when these regulatory bodies that have a certain assumption about the business make that assumption? How do you go about winning hearts and minds and get an ECB to say, look, this is adult content, and there's an adult viewer that is viewing cricket, and it's an okay, safe space to have a sticker?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first things first, you've got to have a conversation, right? Some bodies are unwilling to talk to us about sponsoring athletes and things along those lines, and will make unilateral decisions about the nature of the content on the platform, and also about our content creators. For us, we're ultimately here to support the athletes that we sponsor. So, you know, if Tymal's not able to put a sticker on his bat, that's okay. Like, we understand that's part of the the challenge, I suppose, with OnlyFans and the heavy association with adult content. But as we continue to diversify the content, continue to get more athletes out there, continue to change hearts and minds, probably one conversation or one conference at a time, let's say, we hope that more people will be open-minded. I mean, I think it's very interesting. I often make a comparison to Red Bull.
Yeah.
So if you think about Red Bull in the beginning, obviously they were an energy drink and seemed to be high caffeine and bad for people and things along those lines. And they've actually done a wonderful job of sponsoring athletes, doing the X Games, getting out there, Formula One, things along those lines. So there is good examples of brands that have been able to do that. But I also think it's very important for us to know who we are as well. Like, we are a platform for over 18s. We do have adult content creators on that. We also have sports people. We also have musicians. And so being true to who we are and not trying to shy away from that, instead having the conversations with people is very important too. There's no point in us trying to pretend we're someone that we're not. We need to be true to ourselves.
You've also got a real focus on comedy as well, and that's something that I've been absorbing a lot. But it's not a laughing matter, pardon the pun, when it comes to the safety side of things. And this is a tech conference. So how is it that you have really lent into, particularly when you came on board, you've come from really being the legal expert for OnlyFans. You've come from being a partner of a law firm, joining, then rising the ranks very quickly to become CEO. How is that cyber mindset, how is that safeguard mindset infiltrated the very underlying technology of the business?
I mean, ultimately, without the safety technology that we have in place, OnlyFans can't exist, right?
Yeah.
So as part of the content creator onboarding process, individuals have to go through a facial recognition piece, whereby we match their age and identity to their face and a live likeness of themselves. We also check their social media accounts. We check that the bank account information is in their legal name as well. We moderate all of the content on our platform.
With humans or with AI?
With humans. So we have human-led technology-assisted moderation. So we use different technology to highlight the number of individuals in a piece of content, because more people, more risk, for example. Level of nudity, if any, in content. Any blood or violence or anything that would indicate the presence of a minor. All of that is then flagged by the technology system and goes to priority review by a human.
How much is getting flagged vis-a-vis the other social media companies, do you think?
An awful lot less is the answer. And the reason why is because A, we're very open about the fact that we moderate all content. B, we're very clear about what is and is not allowed under our terms of service, and we're very clear and transparent with our users about what that is. And C, it is well known that people will get their content taken down if they post content that they're not allowed to post on the platform. There's a lot of misconceptions about the kind of content that is allowed. Content creators have recently been banned for extreme content on our platform, and we take steps to protect our user community very, very seriously in that sense. And we're always getting better. So, for example, we employ hash matching to block CSAM images and to block non-consensual intimate image abuse. We look very carefully at AI content, for example, to make sure that AI content is the creator or the creator's own likeness and not an AI avatar created by somebody else and used to make content. So it's
and that must be quite a feat from a technological perspective.
Yes, it's an ever evolving project, basically. We never kind of stop trying to get better at figuring out what is the newest technology that's out there, testing that, and also making sure that we're delivering for our community in terms of safety.
And let's talk about your community, Tymal, and what you've found, whether it's on other social platforms, but particularly what you're creating on OnlyFans. What's it that people want?
It's varied, and I'm still figuring it out. I've only been on the platform since August, so we're only a couple of months in, but I think the one thing that I found, well, when I was going through the platform, we were on the onboarding process, and I'm learning, because I didn't have an account until I signed up. You can, the scope for what you can do on there is really varied, and I'm like most athletes or people of influence. I'll have DMs in my Instagram account, for example, of so many people saying, what do I need to do for X? What tips can you give me for that? What can I do in the gym? Like all the generic things. Those are people.
What do you eat for breakfast?
Yeah,
what's your morning routine?
The little things like that. But I think what people value is the actual one-on-one interaction, because I could put a video out doing what I do in the gym, but if I'm actually responding to somebody, there's obviously that connection. So the way I see it is, now that I've created this extra space, is that if someone's making the effort to maybe move over from my Instagram, sign up, make an account on OnlyFans, and come and ask me a question, they must really want that information. And it is often pretty simple stuff, or basic things that, or maybe basic to me as an athlete, but to them, or maybe as an aspiring athlete, or just as a fan. If they're going out of their way to ask those questions, or to ask for examples of what they want, that's what I think's probably the way forward with the platform from my perspective.
And then let's go to the AI side, Keily, because we all can't stop talking about it. But interestingly, Sam Altman can't stop talking about erotica when it comes to AI as well. And it's sort of interesting that that has ended up being seemingly a use case, not only, and we're going to hear later a little bit more talk about people forming relationships with artificial intelligence, but people have been using it in ways that perhaps, well, we shouldn't be surprised by, but are. How are you seeing AI-generated content wanting to be coming into the platform? How are you regulating what is on the platform? You already said that you're making sure people aren't pretending that they're not someone that they aren't. But how else are you seeing AI slop or great content come on?
Well, it was really interesting. So there was the Ipsos do a lot of tracking, obviously, of market research data, and they recently asked adults, a selection of adults in America, whether they wanted humans or AI to create their content. And over 75% of people said they wanted humans to create their content. We believe that thesis. I do not think that people want AI-generated content. I personally don't want AI-generated content.
You don't want vibes?
I don't want vibes. I want good vibes, obviously, but I don't want vibes. And OnlyFans has actually shown that the whole premise of our platform was creators connecting with fans. That was the whole premise of the platform, and growing their fan base in that way. And in a world where there is so much other content out there, why would you choose to come to a platform other than for that? And so for us, when we think about athletes growing their fan bases and interacting with their fans in that way, AI can't supplement that. It can't change that. It can't give someone that experience. It can give you something else. There's lots of wonderful, great use cases for AI, but
helping you with your honeybees.
Helping me with my bees, exactly. I do use some AI for bee tracking, I will tell you that. But I do not think that it's going to replace the need that we have to see humans create content, basically. And when it comes to AI content on OnlyFans, of course, people can use filters to enhance their appearance in a certain way. Maybe you have blonde hair one day, maybe you have brown hair the other day. But we need to be able to tell that it's them, and they need to be able to tag it so that the fans know that they're engaging with AI-related content, but no holy AI accounts.
Tymal, how has it made you think about creating your content? How do you go? I mean, you've got a busy life, family, work, jet setting at a moment's notice to Guyana, I think it was the last one. How are you fitting it in? Are you being able to, I'm sure your wife might every now and then pick up a phone and help video something, but are you getting your team to support you? How are you doing it?
Yeah, so that was one of the things that, again, this enabled me to do, was that, because it's hard. If you're trying to create content and do it, the one thing is all the algorithms, no matter what platform, they reward consistency and frequency. So if you're going to be putting out content, you need to do it regularly to get rewarded for that. So I, for the first time, employed somebody a company, to help me with that and look after my off-the-field stuff and specifically my social media. So it's been huge. It's opened my eyes, really, and how easy it is when you have somebody helping you and coming up with ideas. You collaborate with them, but then they can do the editing. It makes it
you
so
stay
much
very
more
authentic
easy.
to you.
I think that's important. Yeah, I think it's important, because otherwise people can tell that maybe you've got somebody helping you do it, but you still need to come across as yourself on the camera. So, and I think that it's helped that I'm not just a cricketer. I have worked in TV and I do commentary and I do things away from cricket. So I'm comfortable on camera. Being able to.
I would never know you were comfortable like in an audience.
Thank you, but it's having a team definitely helps, because, as I say, you need to be on it. You need to stay on it, because you don't want somebody. If somebody's gone out of their way to send me a message on OnlyFans and ask for something, and I don't reply for 6 days, that's
you're losing them.
Exactly. You're not gaining a relationship there. So so with regards to creating the content, I've helped doing that, but then actually, as you say, answering it and interacting with whoever's approached me, then that's all me.
Keily, let's go back to your team, because we were just saying how profitable they are and how each of them is basking in vast quantities of revenue per person that you have, but you're expanding the team from a geographical reach perspective. We've talked about US being dominant in terms of the revenue stream, UK, Australia, I know of, but where else are you pushing into? Where wants OnlyFans to work?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because obviously as a global business, we operate across the world, and from our HQ here in the UK. And we're not really expanding in terms of boots on the ground in that way. We look at markets in a more global sense. So whenever we look at new markets to enter, it's always looking at what's the social media adoption like in that country, they've got high social media adoption, high social media usage. B, what's the culture of fandom? So there's like certain places which have a high culture of fandom.
Like Brazil,
right?
I mean,
Exactly.
if you're a musician, whoa.
Exactly, and so we look at that, and then C is also the regulatory environment. And then finally, the last one is payments. We need to be able to pay our creators safely and well in that environment. So all of those things go into a decision for us to think about making a push into a particular country or geography. I mean, I think what's really interesting is when you think about, listening to what Tymal was saying, the creator economy is enormous and it's growing, and it is not just the creators, it is the camera people, it's the editors, it's everything that surrounds the creator economy to enable it to function. I think Goldman Sachs estimated that it's currently at a value of about 200 million right now, and in 4 years' time it's going to be about 500 million. If we think about how that's going to transform media, entertainment, sports, fandom, athletes' engagement, and how profitable it can be.
Without advertising.
Without
I think that's the
advertising.
important thing.
Without
That's your distinction.
Yes,
Right?
exactly. I mean, our entire model is based on a very simple 80-20 split. Every payment that's made on the platform, 80% of it goes to the creator, 20% of it comes to us. And what that means is that when we are thinking about new platform features, new markets, things along those lines, our priority is always, is it good for the creator? Is this thing going to help a creator monetize? Is this thing going to help a creator grow a fan base? Because that's our North Star. We don't have to go, is this going to annoy the advertisers? Because we don't have to worry about them. We just have to worry about keeping our creators and fans happy.
What about, you just said about the regulatory environment? Where is it hardest? How has it been hardest? Where have been the most surprisingly awkward places for you to have to navigate, trying to convince them that there's adult content, but there's fandom in all its guises?
Yeah, I mean, look, the world is a fun and interesting place when it comes to regulatory engagement. And there's definitely...
You're saying the MPs don't want you around for lunch all the time?
Sometimes not, apparently. But I'm a very good lunch guest.
Just a very specific martini order, everyone, if you just...
Very specific martini order. It's true. I'm not...
Maybe not at lunchtime.
Not telling my secrets, not at lunchtime, exactly. But no, I mean, I think when it comes to the regulatory environment, it's obviously keeping up to date is always the thing, making sure that our team are looking at developments across the globe, making sure that we have the technology in place to enable us to comply with requirements, say, for example, around age verification. So there's different laws about age verification in different countries and different jurisdictions. Some are, you have to re-verify every 60 minutes. Some are, there needs to be a double-blind, privacy-friendly version of doing this. Some are concerned that companies will hold the biometric data. Some want you not to hold the biometric data. So it's a difficult environment in which to operate, but it just goes to show why it's so important for companies to take it seriously, and to put in place the necessary measures to obviously comply with the law, but also go beyond that and think about actually what's best for the community as well.
Talking of being taken seriously, Tymal, did people take it really seriously when you announced? What were some of the more interesting reactions, and what were some of the more surprising and positive reactions?
Yeah, look, I knew it was going to cause conversation. I didn't tell a huge amount of people before it launched, so I was literally, I remember when it went live, I was in the dressing room at training before a match, and yeah, you get all the usual stuff, you know,
bit of banter,
locker room kind of, banter, but yeah, you do, once you cut past it, people know me as well, they know what I'm doing on the platform and what I'm about, so yeah, once you get past the kind of banter between mates and you explain to people what you're doing, people understand it and make sense, and it was just a case of me being brave, and I said I'm the first cricketer officially on there, and you know, hopefully more join.
Have they? Has anyone had a few quiet conversations with you?
People have spoken about it, yeah. I'm not sure if they've gone as far as to setting up accounts, but you know, I hope they do.
And Keily, what next as the business grows? Because this is a tech summit talking about European tech success stories, of which many sometimes forget that OnlyFans is one of them. But there is talk that you might be potentially for sale with other American buyers interested. How do you think about the vision of OnlyFans' future in the next 5 years?
Can't give you a scoop on that one today, You tried. You had to try. You had to try and ask the question. But no, I mean, look, the next 5 years, I think is going to be an interesting time for all of us in terms of technological development and also global markets. And then, as I said, we're looking at expanding in terms of broadening out the different content creators that we have, looking at comedy, music, sport, all of these things.
TV,
OnlyFans TV as well. Like we've got our sports show Rise and Grind, which is like follows OnlyFans athletes on that. We're currently producing a volleyball-related show. Nick Kyrgios did a pickleball tournament on OFTV, obviously Australian tennis player.
more eye injuries to come, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So all of these things. But it's an exciting time, I think, for European tech. And I feel actually that the ecosystem is much more optimistic, that there's a lot more investment in European tech. And I think the people in this room will show us what the next 5 years are going to look like.